Hey, what's up, Shane?
Hey Sam, how's it going?
It's going good, man. Happy Saturday to you. How you feeling today?
Yeah, happy Saturday. Things are good. Sun's out. Summertime, kind of getting into that late summer feel here. In the Northeast, so a couple more weeks, getting ready. Kids will be back in school, so yeah, we're just kind of enjoying these last few weeks of summer and enjoying the warm sunshine while we got it.
Nice, nice. Did you guys go away at all during the summer this year?
Yeah, this summer. Let's see, a couple different trips. So Mary took the girls up to she has family that lives up in Maine, a little bit north of Portland, Maine. So they went up there on their own, just her and the girls, road tripped it up for a couple days and came back. And I was at home with Hudson. And then we just got back 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago from my parents' house out in south of Bozeman, Montana. So we were out there for almost a week and enjoyed a really, really, really nice time out there. And, we've talked about this in the past, but the running a business and then working remotely and all of that, it's certainly much easier now than it ever was before because, obviously with COVID, people are just it's just kind of standard protocol at this point. But it does make it convenient to be able to take that all on the road. And there are, of course, certain quirks and challenges to doing that, but it's better than the alternative of not being able to leave. So,
Yeah, I'm sure so many consultants and um, I guess remote knowledge workers slash business owners can relate. Um, the time zone difference, having to adjust to that, like when thank goodness Google Calendar is very good
yeah.
to setting new time zones and everything adjusts. But even so, whenever you're dealing with like meetings that has someone from the West Coast, maybe in the UK, and having to kind of juggle that it's oh god, it's such a nightmare.
Yes. Oh, man. Yeah. Thank goodness for technology. And yeah, we got so much going on. So how are you today? What's going on in Sam's world?
Oh man. Honestly, I definitely want to. I know our usual episodes are an hour. I think today's going to be slightly shorter, but I definitely want to give a bit of a recap on how my fast went.
Yeah, I
Now,
think we
about
should
three
start
weeks
there.
ago. Yeah, we could definitely start there. But otherwise, life is good, man. There's nothing um, out of the ordinary going on. Everyone's healthy, and the business is just doing what the business does, requiring me left, right, up, down, as per usual. Um, but it was really nice. Like we always say, this podcast gives us a nice way to do a retrospect. Sometimes it's for the week, or sometimes it's for the month. Our schedules are a little crazy sometimes, so we can't record every single week. But today, this morning, it was really nice to reflect on that fast. Because I honestly didn't really reflect too much. Life again just got so busy after that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, look, I don't think I probably need months to truly capture everything. I took down notes. Well, let me take a step back. I, I decided to do a fast, and this was a spiritual fast. I know a lot of people do it for health purposes, which I think is fantastic too. It might be something I do for health reasons here and there. I felt incredible coming out of it, but for me, it was very much a spiritual fast. I felt a little lost. I felt like I was going through the motions, but nothing was bad. Like business was, maintaining itself day to day. Relationships were fine, but spiritually, I had this calling to do it, and so I did a 2 day fast, a 48-hour fast. And every 6 hours, I would take 30 minutes to an hour to read scripture and pray and
Mm-hmm.
meditate. I also, just throughout the 48 hours, I was writing down notes, thoughts, observations. And this morning, of course, bringing AI back into the fold in anything that we do, I was pressed for time. So I used AI to sort of summarize things. And the summary, I have like a 4-page PDF that I want to read like with my wife together, but I won't do that for the episode today. I'll give you a couple of notes that I jotted down that I thought was interesting observations for me, but I think also applicable to folks that might not be Christian, or our business owners, our entrepreneurs that might be in a season of just feeling like you're sort of going through the motions. And so there will be some parallels, right? So as an example, one of the observations that I had was, I think I think you're a living example of this, where we find a need to have a coach, whether it's a personal coach or a professional coach, someone to help guide you, someone who might have already done the things that you're looking to achieve. For me, that coach is a spiritual coach in a way, right? But I found it so interesting as an observation throughout that 48-hour fast, where I had this coach, and I have this coach, and I rely on this coach to navigate everything within my life, business, professional, and personal. And when things seem to go well, I found myself quickly almost thanking myself and idolizing myself in what I was able to do. But then I went back to the old days of like having a basketball coach, like a physical, real, tangible person that I can always see, feel, and talk to. And when that coach helped me become a better basketball player, I wouldn't thank myself. I would go to the coach and say, dude, thank you. Like, you put the time and effort to help me improve. But I found myself, as things improved and the business was relatively steady. Of course, I would like for it to grow, at a larger scale. But even so, like relatively, like things were improving, I would find myself thanking myself. And maybe that can be some sort of takeaway to someone listening. If not, totally fine. I think this was for very selfish reasons, a very introspective time for me. And that was one realization that I had, that I have this coach. I have to realize that it's not just my own doing. Of course, I can't be passive and expect everything to just be done for me. That's unrealistic. But it's not a one person show. And it was a good kind of reminder to take a step back and assess that, at least for me, as a spiritual person, there is a larger kind of gravitational force and being that is sort of pulling the right strings. And, I'm an important fixture in making sure that I'm taking advantage of all those opportunities and all those tools that are available to me. So that was one thing. And man, I'll certainly come back in future episodes as I'm also kind of wrapping my head around some of these things. But yeah, I want to leave with just one moment in the 48-hour fast that literally dropped my jaw, like goosebumps all over, and was really just a moment of growth in my journey, in my spiritual journey. And I really hope that everyone has these moments, whether it is in your business or in your relationships, because I think this is what it's all about. Like when you find these one moments and you have like that aha moment, it can change course of your life. I really do think so. And so this was the final like 5 hours of my fast, and up until that point, I think I left my house a couple of times just to go on like short walks. And that's a whole topic for another discussion. But for some reason, I have this Monstera plant in my room, and it's been doing okay. And it was always in the back of my mind, like, I got to repot this thing, put new soil. It's just doing okay. Like, it's not dying, but I know it needs a lot of help. And I was like, all right. I I told my wife, like, look, I'm towards the end of my fast, but I want to go and go to a plant store and get all the things to like help optimize this plant, like put some new soil in and do the whole thing, get like a stem pole, and like hook it onto the pole and all that. So I do all that, come back, and like I said before, every 6 hours I would take like an hour to read scripture, meditate, pray. And I can't write this stuff, man. I can't even pre-plan this stuff. I mean, I probably could with AI if I wanted to, but I promise that this is unplanned. The next chapter that I read was it was called the parable of the sower. Um, and the net takeaway of that parable is that you can be different types of soil, but ultimately you want to be good soil, so that you can yield. And I think verbatim it says you can yield like 30, 60, 100x the blessings that, in my case, God has in store for me, as long as I am cultivating the right soil. So that's the parable. So there's already this connection of like me going out trying to, put better soil into this physical plant and like help this plant, thrive a little bit more. And now I'm sitting at this very table reading that parable, and I'm like, this is just insane, the parallels that are happening. And, the way that my mind works when I go through, even like big projects for a client or big personal endeavors, I think my mind, like I critically think about so many things that when I try to leave from that, I like to have just one simple thing that I can just hold on to be reminded of that very intense journey that I was in. And this parable of the sower was just like that perfect um, conclusion of the 48-hour fast that I did. And that conclusion was, each and every day, as a plant requires, I need to prioritize as my number one thing to being the best soil that I can be, so that whatever the business has in store, whatever my personal life has in store, and ultimately what my creator has in store for me, can yield a productive and faithful and positive life that ultimately will hopefully be inspiring to at least one, hopefully many more. So it was just a really cool way to wrap up my fast with something so easily, that I can easily grasp, which is just the way that my mind works and my heart works, and just the cool connection of like randomly finally biting the bullet and saying, I'm going to do something about this dang plant, and how that connected with my spiritual fast was just, it was just an incredible way to finish that amazing 2-day experience. But I'll definitely come back to this in some future episodes and drop in. I'm sure there will be some topics where some of the observations that I had would absolutely layer in. So that's just a quick 15 minutes 15-minute recap of my experience fasting.
Oh man, that's awesome. Yeah, and it's so interesting because we've talked about this before, but there are, I think, so many people out there. I was one of them myself, where you go through these motions in life, and whatever that might be, like your job, what you're supposed to be doing in your relationship, and all these things. And oftentimes you kind of lose track of this self observation and reflection, and just having time to like step away and get out of all the rat race, right? Like out of your day to day, out of the have some time away, right, from others that are in your life. And then if you have kids, like having some time away to breathe and think. And the same thing with the business or your job, and reflect on those moments, because a lot of times those moments are happening throughout the course of your life, but you unfortunately don't have the time to, and the kind of that cognitive awareness to recognize it. And so I think what you did really just embodies, number one, setting a goal, and then giving yourself the time and space, and then also observing those different feelings and thoughts, and moments in time that happen, and I always look back at that now as you have those moments, and they're like waypoints or markers on your journey, just to like it's like a little sign from creator, right, of like, hey, you're on the right path, and like this is just a little waypoint to say, hey, you're at the right spot here. This is the right time, right place, and keep going on the journey that you're on. And when you start opening up your eyes and looking for those, and just being aware of it, that self-awareness, it goes so far. And tying that back into kind of just life and business in general, it's funny because a lot of times, even like now, our journeys are sometimes connected, where I know we've had different moments where you're like, oh, this happened, and then we just start talking about a subject, and it just flows out, right, and lines up. And it's funny because yesterday would have been it's Friday yesterday, and we would normally kind of be recording on a Friday, and I had a moment yesterday, all of a sudden, reading a couple new books. That would be We can cover some of the kind of takeaways from that. But the I don't know, I have these like lightning bolt moments now, and a lot more than I ever used to, because I'm just so much more aware.
Yeah.
And so I'm just going about my morning. I think I was driving home from the gym in the morning, and all of a sudden, lightning bolt strikes, and I'm like, you know what? Like, I don't know that anybody else has ever really said it directly like this, but what came to my mind was, there's really no difference between any single person and another person that has what you desire. So, of course, like unpacking that part a little bit, I was thinking about like, okay, we all have our goals and objectives, and there are people that we kind of idolize or use as a lighthouse to, they have and have done things and achieved what we want to achieve. And I just thought about it. I'm like, man, the only difference between that person and any other person, in this case, I was thinking about myself, like the only difference is ultimately they just identified their weaknesses, and they just worked on those relentlessly until they turned them into strengths. And I was going through, getting started for my day, and given my background, it's like engineering, a lot of focus on just like your personal work, team collaboration, but not necessarily a lot on the sales business development front. And so for me, what that meant was like, oh, well, like the people who have ultimately figured this out kind of in the business world to accelerate the results and achievement in that space is, they just figured out their weakness, and then in whatever it was, and then turned into a strength. So for me, it's like, oh, okay, my weak area that I'm working on has to be focused on marketing and sales right now, and that's where we need to pour into. And ultimately, the people who are ahead, if you want to call it that, of where you're at in your journey, they just got to a point where they identified them, and they worked through them, and they got to that next phase. And so then I started to think about it. I'm like, man, kind of true of everybody. And I know there's so many people out there today that are sitting, maybe in a job that they don't enjoy or whatever it is. And it's so easy to make excuses. But really, ultimately, the only difference between everybody else out there that has what you want and what you're doing is just identifying and being self-aware of those weak areas, and then trying to start working on them. And that it's like so simple, but it just struck me yesterday. And so that was kind of my big aha moment for the last couple weeks, head into our conversation.
Wait, did you say you were driving somewhere? Were you alone? Like, were you going to the gym or something?
On the way back from the gym, yeah. So
Gotcha.
I usually go to the gym early before Mary and the girls are up. And so I'll go work out, and I typically read or listen to an audiobook. So and now it's actually become a thing for me, where I'm like, man, I enjoy that time driving to the gym, listening to my
Yeah.
audiobook, driving back, listening. And so I was on my way back, and it kind of hit me. And then I was just reflecting, and I journal every morning as well. And so, like, in that period from going to the gym, driving home, and then writing it out, it like just struck me. And I was like, it really just made things feel like, oh, okay. This is because I guess in the back of my mind, what I was thinking was like, man, the game. that we're playing, whatever you want to call it, right? Like on the personal side, if you're in a relationship. And kind of this whole mantra applies to everything, right? Like
Yeah.
it could be athletics, sports, religion, spirituality, business, all of that. And I was like, man, the game can't be that hard. Like, so my mind was already thinking, like, how can I just distill all this down into like the simplest thing that every day I can just wake up and be like, okay, this is the steps, right? These are the steps. And like then it just hit me. It's like the steps are so simple.
Yeah.
Uh they're simple but not easy. And it's just like, yeah, gotta identify the weakness and then go after it. And I think what happens is a lot of people, number one, don't want to recognize the weakness because then you're kind of admitting that you have flaws. So that's the first step. And then once you get past that part, then it's saying, okay, well, I identify this as a weakness. And I think for me, the next step was to say, okay, that's the thing that we have to double down on in order to accelerate the growth,
Yeah.
kind of foster that. So,
I'm going to take a leap here and say a lot of the people that just listen to that aha moment that you had, they're, I bet some listeners might think like, dude, obviously, right? Like so simple. But keep in mind that when you're so focused on so many different things, and that so many different things becomes times by 100,000, a million at times when you start, owning and operating your own shop. And that's not even talking about, marriage, kids, school, all that other stuff, planning a trip, like all of that stuff. Sometimes you get lost in the simplest of things that can help reframe how to tackle your day and all the moments throughout the day. So just wanted to say that because I think there are some parallels between your aha moment and my aha moment, because one of the other takeaways that I had was that we are constantly distracted,
hmm,
and it can be good and bad distractions, right? I think we I think you and I are probably very good at trying to deflect the bad distractions, right? The things that feed the mind the wrong things.
yep.
We try to isolate, I don't know, things like our social media or our days to really be focused on life, business, fitness, all of the, like I say, like the 4 quadrants that I have. But it's those good distractions that can also become really dangerous as well,
Yeah.
in the sense that you start losing the sense of like the simple approach of like, I just need to look at my weaknesses, make them into strengths. But that realization can get really hazy and just invisible because we're so distracted by all the other things that we want to work on,
Or
um,
that you're good at too.
or that you're
Right?
good
Like
at,
you're gonna
right?
be and I think that you're nailing it there is that's the hardest part is you're naturally gonna have a propensity to be magnetized towards the things that you're good at.
Yeah.
And so like yeah, like you said, on my social media feeds, like I've curated those feeds now to where it's all the stuff that are helping me grow and stuff, and it's stuff that I like. But I also don't, if I go on my feed, right, and maybe this is a takeaway for me, is I have to change my feed algorithm a little bit here because my feed is all technical stuff, building, doing the things that I love to do, especially around AI. But in reality, what do I need is I need to be looking at who are the top marketing and sales experts and just completely immersing myself in that space because that is my biggest weakness from the business perspective right now, of things that I need to work on. But like you said, that it is a good distraction, but that is also part of the challenge, and that's why it's simple but not easy.
Yeah. And why I asked before, like, what were you doing when you had this aha moment, is what I sort of alluded to maybe as a future topic. Not a big topic, but like I would like go out for these little walks.
Hmm.
When I was fasting, I realized obviously when you're damn hungry, you really become present in the moment because your first thought is, damn, I'm really hungry. And then it goes to, what am I doing? Do I have the energy for X, Y, and Z? And so you start really um, removing the noise around you, right? Like, I realized so much of life has to do with food as well. Like, I would turn the TV on briefly and it's like the food channel or like some other thing about, and there's always food involved. And so what I realized was that, what was this realization exactly? Like, we are constantly, um, in we're the epicenter of just mass distraction. And the more we can find pocket, it doesn't have to be a 48-hour fast, right? But if it can be a 10-minute drive back and to and from the gym where you can minimize distractions, to at least give your mind an empty vessel or an empty space to have some random creative or boring thoughts. Yeah, like those moments could turn into a big aha moment, similar to what you had. So yeah, that was another observation that, like, I forget who told me this, but like, I think to be creative, you need to be bored. And I think boredom
Mhm.
is something that we shy away from a lot. We're scared of it because of our screens now. But if we can give ourselves like a 5-10 minute break or even a longer break, that would be even more wonderful. Whether it's a short walk with no, earphones in and just walking with your thoughts. Um, yeah, I think that's something that I've started to value a little bit more. It doesn't always have to be a walk. It can just be more intentional, quiet time of like absolutely nothing around me. Hopefully that gives us more of a chance to have these realizations because it definitely helps us as a person and as a business owner.
Yeah, 100%. Those thinking about distractions and stuff, it's like you can't have those downloads from what I would look at as more of like quantum downloads or from the creator, from the spirituality side. Like you're not going to be able to have the what I call downloads or that connection and realization or revelation. You really can't have that if you're distracted and there's so much noise going on. So you have to find time for that peace and quiet and be intentional about it. And I think the people who can work on that and master that have a significant advantage nowadays, because everybody, like you said, is so distracted with social media, cell phones, and now AI on top of it. It can be overwhelming, but having that time and space is so important. And uh, let's see, man, I just had a ton of been reading a couple really good books. I know you're a Mike McAllowitz fan,
Hmm.
Toilet Paper Entrepreneur, Profit First, and then I started his new book, Clockwork. And so, one takeaway top of mind from I'm going to go rapid fire just because I got a bunch on the top of my head here, and we can go deeper into it in future episodes. But the first takeaway from that is instead of calling yourself like I'm a business owner or whatever your title is, it's like I'm a shareholder. I'm a shareholder in the business. And so I've been really exercising that one to start thinking, and it's opened up my mind so much to be like, I have got to continuously work to get out of working in the business because it just really can't thrive. And ultimately, it's like if you dig in even deeper into it, it's like it's ultimately selfish because there are people I know, there are people out there who can provide way more value for our clients than I can individually. And so that's the his book Clockwork. First big takeaway. I'm not finished with it, but that's one mindset, little mind shift that I've been taking away. Um, and then another book called I think it's by John Acuff, and he has one called "All You Need Is a Goal." And I mean, we'll unpack that one down the road about goal setting and a whole different perspective on it. But one of the things that he mentions in there that ties into what we were talking about is finding those little pockets of time and making the most out of them. And so, like you were saying, just a 10-minute, 15-minute little walk here and there, a little meditation, a quick yoga session. If you have a commute or you wait in the line, like when you start thinking about things in these like 10, 15-minute increments, you can do a lot in a bunch of those stacked up over the course of a year. And so, like, my gym commute has turned into hours per month that are fed back into reading audiobooks or listening to audiobooks while I'm driving. So for anybody else out there who's like, man, my life's too busy, I can't take this on, start small and look for those little pockets that you have throughout the day, and what can you kind of work in there that advances your initiative. So kind
I
of
love
the
that, man.
rapid fire takes there.
I love it, man. Well, look, I know today's a bit of a shorter one, but I thought it was packed with a lot of little nuggets. If you guys ever want to talk more in depth, we're always open to engaging. So you can always hit up Shane on LinkedIn and Instagram at Shane Chalupa. His business is called Obnovit. I'm also on LinkedIn at Sam Lee. My consultancy is Keyrise Consulting. We do a lot more than just share, personal, professional, today spiritual development. And we hope that you stick around because we really value these moments where we can share our journey and our arc and hopefully help a few people along the way. So Shane, as always, man, thanks for sharing your knowledge, your time, and to all the listeners, thanks for tuning in today.
Yeah, thanks everybody. I think one thing that came to me through today's session is maybe starting a little bit of we've got enough episodes now and enough time under our belt, let's say, that would be fun to go back through a couple sessions in the future and circle back on start here kind of series of like, you have your business, you're a number of years into it, and we're in the same boat over here, and just doing like a little start here, because each time when I have a little breakthrough in the business, I kind of stop and think about it. I'm like, man, I wish I knew that when I started. Like, that really simplified that. So we would collectively pull together our lessons learned from the initial like thought and idea to planting the seed and then nurturing it and growing it and bring it back to present day. I think that'd be a fun little series.
I'm so down. That sounds like a lot of fun.
All right. Yep. Thanks, everybody. We'll catch you on the next episode.
Peace.